It's my pleasure today to welcome Paul Di Giacomo to KillieFC TV. Paul signed for Killie in 1998, made his debut against St Mirren, a 1-0 win, and in total made 126 appearances for Kilmarnock, scoring 14 goals. Paul, you signed in 98, the club was obviously in a high after having won the Scottish Cup that year. Must be a great atmosphere at the club then.
It was great, really good atmosphere. I think it was just a good atmosphere around Scottish football at that time, very, very positive. I remember that day very well. We just signed Freddie Dindolin, who went on to be a very good friend of mine. Freddie was a lovely, lovely man. And myself being very nervous, and at that time you had to have 2 under-21s on the bench. That was a new rule brought in by the SPFL or the Scottish League, whoever it may be. So it was always myself, Peter Canero and James Fowler vying for those 2 spaces. I think Fow picked up a wee niggle, so it was myself and Peter who were on the bench that day. So I was delighted, and the fact I got on, I wasn't expecting that at all. I was just delighted to be on the bench. But I had a decent pre-season that year, really, really positive, and I knew I wasn't far away, and Bobby and Jimmy and KB rated me very highly, so it was a great day, and I wish I could turn back the clock, that's for sure.
Don't go. Unfortunately, you suffered 2 cruciate injuries in the same knee. You feel that really held you back big time as far as your whole career went?
Absolutely. I think Alan Robertson was here. Robbie, I owe him an awful lot. He's the man that stood in the pouring rain and watching me at the side of a park. I played with Claremont Boys Club in East Kilbride years and years and years ago. So he got me involved in the club, and I'll be forever grateful for that, because Kilmarnock's brought me some fantastic memories. Regarding the injuries, yes, it was definitely a setback. Football was easy to me. I treated the game of football like going out and playing with my pals. Give me the ball. Anything I asked to do wasn't a problem. Could beat people left foot, right foot. Could score goals. I was creative. And I think the first injury, it's a bit of reality. Like, oh, this football stuff's actually quite serious. So probably a wee bit of enjoyment left me, because I realised that it wasn't all just fun and hanging about with my pals. It was a wee bit, listen, it's a man's world you're in here. It's a big boys game. But mentally I learned a lot, made me mentally stronger, helped me grow up, being injured. You need to fight some demons both mentally and physically. So it was a real setback for me, and if Alan Robertson, I've heard him speaking about me to other people, and he would definitely love to see how I would have developed had I not got the injury. As I say, because I had, personally speaking, I'm probably floating on boat here, I had everything that you could probably
I remember the second time you did your cruciate, that was at Rugby Park, wasn't it?
The second time I done it was in... the
first time was at Easter Road?
The first time was at Easter Road, I remember it vividly, Gary Smith, and I was just starting to... I was getting that feeling. My debut against St Mirren, I remember the nerves, those nerves that you get before anything important you're about to do in your life, the excitement and going on and just loving it. I remember being knackered, I was all over for 15 minutes. And then as you feel part of the squad, I get that feeling, this is easy, football's easy to you. And that game was flying, and I remember wee Alan Mahoods played a ball round the corner to me. I tried to go one way and the other, and Gary Smith had a wee tug at my jersey. He was a dirty defender, but he was only doing what he was doing. And just felt my knee just go one way and the other. And I was, you knew right away, and I didn't realise how serious it was at the time. I just thought maybe a knot and your knees up like a balloon and couldn't sleep that night. So I remember that vividly. It was a very frustrating day. And the second one was actually a reserve game here against Aberdeen. It was actually Darren Mackey. It was probably one of the worst nights of my footballing career, because off the back of that I had a major blowout with Jim Jeffries at the time. He was the manager. He was wanting more from me before the game, and 2 or 3 weeks beforehand. Listen, come on, you're on the periphery of things here. We need you in the team. We need a fit Paul Di Giacomo, etc, etc. So I just kind of demotivated myself a wee bit. I wasn't really giving it my all. I don't know what was wrong with me. It was just my age, 18, 19-year-old boy, but still immature. So in that game, it kind of gave me a blast. I got injured 20 minutes into the game, and I knew my knee had went. But it was this kind of, I don't believe this. I couldn't have went again. This hasn't happened to me again. I couldn't have went again. So I played on, and I came out second at half time. Got to half time, Jim Jeffries, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, you're useless, wee Billy Brown. Give me both bars, I didn't say anything, just said, look, you don't even look interested. But in my head, I knew my knee was gone again, but I just couldn't admit to it. It was a strange feeling. So out the second half, and I played for about 5 minutes, and I just walked off the park. Didn't say I was injured, I just walked off the park. Literally, the ball played on the right hand side, I just ignored him, I just walked off the park. Didn't sub, didn't jet, just walked right up the tunnel. I remember Ian Durant going, what are you doing? All that, shouting the ball at me. Because he was kind of helping out with the reserves at the time, the under 20, whatever it is, I can't remember what it was. And then I remember Jim Jeffries coming down for the stand as the game's going, who the bleep do you think you're bleeping at walking off this pitch? Billy Brown came down, Ian Durant came down. So I'm shouting the ball and we're arguing and almost got to fisticuffs. And it wasn't until I just up the road and I come home and I text Jim Jeffries that night, can I speak to you tomorrow, Gaffer? And I didn't say anything. I come in the next day and listen, I apologise for my behaviour last night. I was out of order, but my knee was cream crackled, and at that point he could see, he could understand my kind of devastation. I was devastated.
You couldn't believe it's happened.
I couldn't believe it, I was devastated. And fair play to Jim Brett, I'll be forever grateful. I was on the periphery of a 3-year contract. That year I had to play another couple of games, and Jim Jeffries, to be fair to him, was 19 years of age, and that day went into his office. Now, he probably could have sacked me, if I'm being honest, for the way I spoke to him, and the way I spoke to his staff, Durante and Billy Brown, sorry, but they're football men. So once we had a wee chat, you're tearing there, in fact, and he just said, listen, you just get yourself fit, speak to wee Alec, your contract situation says the 3-year contract will still be there for you. We need to look at the terms a wee bit, which was fair enough, and he says, well, the club and myself will support you through it. And for that I'll be forever grateful, because I finally let go. Could have been at the door, and who's going to take an injured player? I probably would have stopped 19-year-old, I want to do something, probably drive a lorry from old man. So I fell out of the game. So devastating day, one of my worst nights ever, and that's when reality really hit me. But as I say, I grew up after that. You make these mistakes, make you better. And as a man, I grew up as a man. I was like my girlfriend, now wife at the time, and I really got my head down, focused. Alec McQueen was a massive influence for me, and great support around the club, from the staff, from the board at the time, from the supporters. I'm overwhelmed with the support I had from them, the letters and things like that. You forget people do these small gestures, but they really do pick you up. And there was no social media then, so I'd imagine if it happened now, the kind of well wishes you get on social media are ridiculous. So forever grateful for that. But a really bad day for me. But I'm going to say something weird here. If I could go back in time, I would do it all over again, and I'll tell you why. Because I grew up and I had my wife, as I said, I'm now married 15 years. We get married young, I was married at 21. I've got 3 children who the love of my life. My wife's the love of my life. So you wouldn't have, I don't know.
Made you grow up.
Made me grow up, but I don't know, if I was this young prima donna footballer and the way things were going for me, I reckon I would have, in fact I would have got a big move, and I would have been earning a hell of a lot of money, and that changes you, I think, and I don't know if I maybe had my wife and my family. So, in a weird way, I go back in time and do it all again, so it did make me grow up and realise that... And
it turned out for the best, because you've got 3 lovely kids.
Exactly, so my
15 years,
earning loads and loads of money and being super rich and having a great football career, like your wife and your kids, it's a no-brainer for me. So I'm a family man, I'm devoted to my wife and children.
Did you find it easier to come back the second time than it was the first time, or was it harder?
Harder, because it was
because of the damaged tissue before, is that?
First operation was done down at Carrick Glen, a private hospital, by Dr Fitzgerald, who's actually passed away now, poor man. But cruciate ligament injuries in footballers were still relatively in that kind of unknown.
When I was growing up, nobody heard of it. The first person I ever had was Ian Durant and Gordon Wilde. They were the two you'd ever heard of cruciate ligament. Now it's
Ian Durant was here when I done it, obviously, and excuse me, and he had it was total knee reconstruction. But the injury he had, if he'd done it in the present day, he would have wanted to play for. He wanted to have a good career, of course, but he's wanted to now have the knee replacement. But medical knowledge or science, whatever you want to call it now, a hell of a lot better than it was back then. So it was relatively unknown, and it was the operation I kind of got. It was really a sports rehab I got at the time. not through the fault of Alistair McPhee, the physio, it was just on his guidance from the doctor. So maybe it wasn't a good rehabilitation I done in the first one. But the second one, there was a bit more known about it, and wee Alec McQueen, it was kind of one of his first cruciate injuries to rehabilitate in a player. I think he'd done one previously when he was at Falkirk, so he was studied knowledge and he was a real motivator for me. I was like his wee guinea pig, if you like. And I remember him having me through my rehabilitation. He'd done a lot of talks. Alec McQueen very good for continually learning, because he knows physio is always evolving, so he's always one for studying and reading up and trying to get as much knowledge as he can. So he had me going to these physio conventions, if you like, and I was his guinea pig. Oh, here's Paul Di Giacomo, here's what I've done, tell us a bit about your injury, blah blah blah. So the second time was very, very hard, but I had good people around me. And I actually had to take a bit of my right knee and put it in my left knee, with my patella tendon graft, so I couldn't really walk when I came out of the operation. My wife, she was here, she was pulling her hair out. Don't you talk about your knee again? But no, it was hard, and I hate the fact I'm always remembered by the Killie punters as that boy hadn't got injured. But that's life. That is life. That's just the way. It's
probably because they saw the potential in you, and I think everybody would agree that knocked you for six.
100%. And I'm like, you've got me, Chrissy Johnson, me Mushy, who's just done a similar injury. And I try and pass on all my positive energy and positive experiences, because medically things have changed, evolved, as you said. So he should go on to make a full recovery. Stephen Naismith done it twice in both his legs. And obviously me man said the best rehabilitation possible, being at a massive club like Everton, but he's wanted to have a good career and done okay, so it won't hinder you now as a footballer. But I think I'm off on a tangent here, but to answer your question, I think where it really affected me was mentally. I think physically it's maybe took a wee edge of pace off me, but mentally it just took a wee bit of bravery away from me, a wee bit of arrogance away from me. I was an arrogant player. Give me the ball. When I went out to play, I thought I was better than anybody I played against. I didn't care who it was. If I was playing against you, I knew in my head I was a better player than you. After I got injured, I was saying, you do, it's in the back of your head. You've
already mentioned Alan Robertson. Obviously Bobby Williamson was the manager who signed. Who were the biggest influences? Was Robbie the main?
Well, both of them, in fact. Robbie, I think at the time there wasn't really a youth development set up. When I first came in, the way it is now, which I'm heavily involved in, it used to be a case of Bobby used to take the Glasgow, Kilmarnock kind of training nights. Used to do that at Castlemore of all places. One of those ones, if you missed the target over the heads, the wee Neds are running away with the football, and Bobby's chasing them down the hill to try and get the ball back. So and kind of Alan Robertson kind of took care of, used to train at Beath as well, and Stuart McLean, another Kilmarnock legends. So the three of them used to take sessions during the week for different age groups. So it was really the three of them. Bobby wasn't the manager when I first got signed it. He was heavily involved with the youth at the time. But it was Robbie just standing at the side of the park. Alan Robertson's great for, he'll go and take in a game. So he still does it now. I don't know how his wife Mary puts up with him. So if there's a game like yesterday, the youth cup game yesterday, but if there wasn't a game, he'd go to a game somewhere. He'd just drive and know there's a game on somewhere in Glasgow, East Kilbride, Lanarkshire, just take a game in, and he's a fantastic knowledge of young players, and every player under 20 who's decent, I think Robbie would know. So Robbie was great, just a lovely man, and just let me play. Alan Robertson's skill set is he lets you play. He doesn't put pressure on you, lets you play, because he knows that when you go out in there with the big boys there's pressure. So young player, just go and play, express yourself, and he was great for me. Bobby as well, wee Jimmy Clark, KB, and Stuart McLean, and big Paul Clark, Mr. PC Clark. Big policeman. I don't know if he's still a policeman actually.
I think he's retired now.
Retired, but that was a kind of six who were heavily involved with youth development at that stage, giving up their time. There was no money, they wouldn't get any money for it at the time. Only thing I always remember about then is used to be 13, 14-year-old, you'd wear the first team strip for 3 years ago, so you had the last top on it would ruin you. That's the way it was then. There was nothing playing down at Saltcoats Fixed Juniors. But real great memories, real positive memories. My father, you built up a relationship with your dad as well, because he's taking you.
He's a taxi driver.
He's a taxi driver, he's rushing back from his work. I'm doing it now myself for my own kids, so I know the feeling. He always does say to me to come back to me. So, no, I'm far grateful to him as well, because I was very lucky that I had a dad who could take me. We don't do enough for kids, Kilmarnock included. All the clubs in Scotland for these kids that can don't have a mum or dad that can take them places and get them to training 3 times a week. So I was very lucky. So Robbie was massive, but I think what I'm trying to get at is
There was more than one.
There was a collection of people at that time who believed in me and believed in the club and wanted to do the best for the club more than anything. So a lot of them in fact, but Bobby was great, he gave me my debut. Always believed in me. I remember the day I signed, I was on holiday. And a day I'd shaved my head off for this skinhead at 15-year-old, 16. Come in there to sign, and he just looked at me and says, "What have you done to your head?" And as soon as I signed, he says, "I'm not giving you any trouble." He says, "Wait 10 minutes, sign the contract." He says, "Don't ever come in by here, do that again." So it was like reality check, geez, you know. Then I had to work do my ground share with, the grounds maintenance with old Gus Hollis, geez, that was a wake up call. But great, positive memories.
So who was the best manager you played in? Not just Kilmarnock, obviously you were at Airdrie, Ross County.
I think hard to single them all out. They all had their strengths and weaknesses. It would be hard to single them out because I'm grateful to them all for different. Bobby gave me my debut, he gave me my start, he gave me my dream. My wee boy from Glasgow wanted to play football, so he let me. This club, he let me do that, him, KB and Clarkie. I'll single out Jimmy Clark and KB, I'll single them both out. They were a great double team. And Jimmy Clark's probably one of the best coaches, the two of them together, but Clarkie, I'm a coach myself now, and Jimmy Clark tries to tell me, gone really well with and his wife Anne, say when you're giving feedback to a player after a game, half time, be harsh but be constructive. So Jimmy Clark just had that knack of getting his point across without slaughtering you so much that you didn't want to go back out in the park, but letting you know exactly what you were doing wrong and what you wanted to do second half. It's just the way he said it. It's like quick thinking, that football brain if you like. Right. So Clarkie was great in terms of analysing a problem, telling me how to do it and how to do better, telling what I'm doing wrong, how to do better. So Clarkie had that knack, I would say. And I reckon if back to Jimmy Clark, if he hadn't, when Bobby went to Hibs, I reckon the board and Jimmy Ross had the problem with the brain surgery at the time, Clarkie. I reckon they would have gave him the job, the manager's job, and I'd love to have seen how he'd have done. He didn't want the job, he's a Killie man. I reckon the whole place would have got right behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. The
supporters, I think it'd just been a great appointment, and the players at the time would have backed him because they all had utmost respect for him. At that time, just as the brain surgery, and they all went to Hibs together. I think Clarkie, I don't think he enjoyed getting the opportunity. I think he hated it, staying up in Edinburgh 3 or 4 nights a week. But
I think the 3 of them hated it at the end.
I think so. I'd love to see how that would have developed. So Clarkie, but Kenny Black, when I was at Airdrie, the day I left here, I remember in Jim Jeffrey's office, and I said, "Right, Gaffer, what's happening next year? I'm 26 years of age. I think I was 27 actually. Been in about the first team, loved it. I was a wrench to leave here, it was an absolute wrench, but people in the game were telling me I had to play more regularly. Said, "Jacko, you need to go and play more regularly." So I went to see Jim Jeffries, again, very honest with me. He says, "Jacko, the situation is, we love having you here, you're a big part of the club, you're a massive influence in the dressing room, and you're a good player." He says, "I've proved in the past, I've played you when you're playing well, and it's all been a wee injury and you've fallen back at the team," which was absolutely true. I remember I was flying one year, 6-7 games in a row. I was just starting to get my mojo back, and Stevie Craigan's elbow me in the face, and I fractured the whole side of my face at Christmas time, about 10 years ago. Gosh. So as Jim Jeff says, "You're just the unluckiest boy I've ever known in my life." So he said to me at the time, "You'll be in and out." I says, "But if you go and do well, you'll be a regular for me, but I'm not going to sit here right now and tell me you're my number one. Right. You're going to be my start 11, I'm not going to do that. So if that's what you're looking for, I'm saying no." He says, "Right, okay, fair enough." He says, "There's a contract here for you." I says, "But I need to know by the end of June. or the middle of June. That's what he said. That's for Jamie Fowler's wedding that time. So he says, give me an answer after Fowler's wedding, go and enjoy yourself. So it was about the 15th, 16th of June. I phoned him and says, listen, I'm going to gamble, I'm going to go and try and pursue first team football. And it was a good contract here, and I remember speaking to my wife and she backed me, and that was fine. So I had a few offers, but Airdrie actually Kenny Black phoned me and just said, listen, what about build a team around you, all this stuff you want to hear, build a team around you, you're the main man, all that stuff. Want to make a push, don't see us winning the first division, but I see he's been up there challenging, and we're trying to build, we've got a few big sponsors going to throw money at it, blah blah blah. So you'll be first name in the team sheet, and he was true to his word, and I really enjoyed it, Airdrie. It was a mad club, but really enjoyed it. A great year. We actually got relegated that year. So much for building a team around me. But we won the Challenge Cup, and it was actually a great team we had. We were flying the first 15 games of the season, we were undefeated, sitting second at the table. And then just kind of the wheels came off. We won the Challenge Cup, and then the wheels came off. It was bizarre. Just confidence in the team, young team, just kind of drained and dwindled. And
once you were down the spiral, we got beaten in the playoff. Ayr United, couldn't believe it. Ryan Stevenson scored a worldie, believe it or not, to put us down to second division. But I really enjoyed that season. I felt like the main man of a team. I felt like I was his main man. I was the kind of catalyst for everything positive, both on and off the park. So Kenny was great, but Derek Adams as well. What I try to do now as a coach, see all the managers I worked under. I mean, Jimmy Calder worked under him, Willie McStay. They've all got their strengths and they've all got their weaknesses. So I've no aspirations to be a manager. It's just not in me. I might grow into it, so you might contradict myself in years to come. But I see myself, I'd maybe have a wee assistant job. I fancy a job as assistant manager. That be you're in about it and you're just not quite there, but you get to coach. So I try and collate all the information, the strengths that they have and the weaknesses, and try and use that to my strengths basically. So that's what I try, and I really enjoy working with young kids. So all good. Best teammate you played with?
Well, I think I've been forced into this. I don't get any choice but to say wee Hookie and Fow. Peter Canero, I'll throw him in there as well. The four of us were kind of a wee gang, if you like, growing up together. Gary was a couple of years older, Fow was a year older. We all kind of grew up together in the youth team. So the three of them, Gary, we're all good friends now. Fow and Gary, we keep in close contact. Those two were wanting me to stay because when I left here, just the fact I could get yourself a testimonial. Those two up to get a testimonial. But no, it was just different time. But when you spend 10 years, 11 for longer than that, 12 years and playing with somebody, I think they become your friends and they become your good teammates. So I need to mention them, but probably the best player that I played with, I think we Jasper was just, he set the bar, I think, in terms of standards on the park, me and Gerant. It was just a different dimension to skill levels, if you like. I'll never forget the game a few games, but the game at the Scottish Cup, the League Cup, we get gubbed by Celtic. Larson scored a hat trick, but Durante hadn't trained in 3 months, and he was I knew it'd be his last final. And the determination of that, just get yourself fit, didn't train, and Bobby Owens at the time just gambled and played him. And thank any Killie fan was at that game.
First 25 minutes, he was running the show.
It was the last show, and then his knee, and that was it. I think all of us in the squad that time knew the game was over. But he was a character as well, he really was. He talking about the power of a dressing room in terms of creating an atmosphere within a dressing room that brings the best out of, I'm not going to say mediocre players or average players, because it's a good squad then, but bring the best out in these players who weren't at the same level as him, and he had that kind of charisma, if you like, and really let me see the power of one person can have in a dressing room in terms of bringing the best out of people. But him as well, and there's a few others. I mean, Big Freddie, I mentioned Big Freddie. Big Freddie was great. We used to slag him here because we always used to, every time we came to Celtic Park or go to the Ibrox, Big Freddie always had a calf strain, had a hammy strain. Big Freddie's got a Celtic-itis or Rangers-itis. It wasn't true, no, it wasn't true at all. But Big Freddie was again brought that kind of French culture and class, and again, as a young man, seeing how the supporters take to somebody, it just seems to be a fan's favourite. I thought about growing my hair long myself just to see if the fans would cheer me that much. But no, it was great. It's a great experience and lots of good teammates. But Fowen, who care, probably up there.
You're now manager of the community engagement. What's a typical week in the life of Paul Jacko?
Oh, typically, well, I wish
not such thing.
No, there is. Well, I wish I could do more, but it can be different. And things are starting to quiet down now at Christmas, which is good because we've got a lot of school programmes. A typical week. When the schools are on, we've got a school programme Monday to Friday, from primary school age right up to secondary school. So just need to I need to manage and coordinate and make sure all those sessions are covered. So guys going in delivering educational and football topics within the school, the schools. So I just really need to be there, and if one of them can't make it, like I said, tomorrow morning, I'll go and cover the session. So that's a typical week. Like this afternoon, I've got my football memories programme, which is great, supporting elderly gentlemen with dementia. Dementia is something that, or Alzheimer's, something that I've started to learn more. I love the job because you learn more about different things, different topics. But again, these men who some of them can't remember what they had for breakfast, and they'll tell you who played in a game from 1958, they'll tell you the subs, they'll tell you what the crowd was, they'll tell you how much it was for a pie and a bovril. Just fantastic. So other things that I'll do, I'm always trying out there, trying to get wee pockets of money in so we can deliver more programmes, because there's so much more we can do, so much more, and we do an awful lot to make. I don't know if you have tape on the video to tell you how much we actually do, but I'm really out and about, trying to meet as many people as I can. I just try and spread a positive word for the club.
Absolutely, you're always positive when you see you on a Saturday.
I love the place. It's I'm a Glasgow boy. I was brought up as a Celtic fan, but you can't be involved in a club for as long as I have, as a player from a 12-year-old boy till I am now, and not have an general affection for the place. So my first club now, without a doubt, is Kilmarnock. I'm a Kilmarnock man and a Kilmarnock supporter. Even when I left and played with other clubs, I always kept a good relationship with the people here, Michael Johnson, the chairman, Paul McDonald, and just the board in general, and ex-chairman and ex-directors, always kept in good contact. So I knew there was a job available here. I was on the phone, I was making sure it was mine basically, and I had to work hard and get all the qualifications needed to do it. But a typical day I could do so much more. Like tonight as well, I'm going off a tangent here, sorry.
That's right.
We've got a music box programme as well, so it's not just football. So we've got dementia and Alzheimer's tonight. We've got a music box programme for kids between 12 and 16. So they come, we've got musical instruments in at the exec club, and they come once a week on a Monday, and they get tutored into playing instruments, the drums, the guitar, the keyboard. So we pockets of money for that. We've got our fitness programmes at night time. We've got loads, but we can still do so much more, and that's what I'm working every day to try and do, to try and engage more in the community and spread the positive message of Kilmarnock Football Club, which we have to do. And there's not enough, I get frustrated as well, because there's not enough information out there of what we're doing behind the scenes. There needs to be more of it, and that's another thing we're striving to do a lot better, and need to do more of.
And one last question, Paul. Following your debut in the boxing ring, when is your next fight?
That's something I'll never do again, but that's the kind of daft things that I do. I basically owed a favour to somebody, and daft me says, "Oh, can you come and fight in a charity night for me?" So it was a great experience. Thoroughly enjoyed I'm a bit of a fitness freak. Thoroughly enjoyed the training exercises and stuff, and the boxercise if you like. But I think going into the ring, look at this face. I mean, come on, this face isn't built for fighting.
I thought it was already done 20 rounds.
No, great experience. Really enjoyed it, and I'd recommend it as a one-off for anyone. But you need to be that mentally tuned to take a punch in the face.
Paul, thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.